welcome again to Bard Brunch. I am your host, Genny, here to be very loud and annoying on your Sunday morning. Today, we are going to be interviewing Rogue Ensemble Theatre Company. They have been on the show previously under a different company name, but now they have a new name and a new show that I've seen. It's really fun. We're going to talk all about that later, and I'm super excited to have them back on the show. And hopefully my internet doesn't cut out and they don't have to interview themselves for a good 2 minutes like we did last time. But anyway, before we get into that, I am going to make myself a little drinky drink. I am calling it the, oh, you can't really see that. I got these fancy like chalk, but like chalk pens in colors. And it looks great in person, but you can't read that. I could call this anything I want to. I'm calling it the I Knew Him Well. It's a bit of a joke on how everyone misinterprets or misremembers the line in Hamlet of, oh, alas, poor Yorick, I knew him, Horatio. But a lot of people always say, I knew him well. And I'm like, that's not what the line is. It's along the lines of like, Luke, I'm your father, when the line is actually, no, I am your father. Like, the mind is weird, things are weird. Anyway, let's get into this super chocolatey, death by chocolate insanity drink. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna open my freezer, hi, and take out my little skull molds of ice. I have little ice skull molds. Because underneath all of this chocolate and chaos, his face didn't stay on, but you can see the skull shape, so that's fine. Also, there's gonna be more skulls involved in this anyway, so who cares? All right, this is the second time I've tried to use that and the little face didn't stay on. So I'm gonna have to try and figure out, like, do I leave it in for longer? What do I do? It like didn't do what I needed it to do, but I know it works because I've seen other people use it. Anyway, little skull buried in what is about to become. All right, so I have chocolate ice cream this time, as opposed to the vanilla that I've been constantly using. Chocolate ice cream, it's chocolate. All right, Bayer's, just Bayer's chocolate ice cream. You can use any ice cream you want. You don't have to use chocolate. You can use whatever you want. Just throw you in there. I'm using my face sometimes falls off too. Listen, 'tis the season to have face melting. All right, so I'm just using a tablespoon to get all of this out. And I really want to try and get it on like all sides of the skull to hide him. Which once you're drinking him, eventually you'll see him later. Yay! And I love you! Ah! I love having fans. No, please don't ever let me actually become that. I know I joke about that all the time, about being narcissistic trash, but like, please don't let me actually become narcissistic trash. It's fully a joke. Let me be self-deprecating as much as I want to. Okay. So we got a chocolate. Chocolate! Every time I say chocolate, I always think of the guy in SpongeBob who's chocolate. You're selling chocolate? Chocolate! That guy. And also, of course, the woman and her very, very old mother. They're selling what? Chocolates. What? I love them. I love them so much. That old school SpongeBob episode, one of my favorites. Okay, so next up, we are going to put some Hershey's syrup just along the sides. I also want it to get a little bit on the ice cream too, which is why I waited until after I put the ice cream in. That's there. And that's just what we look like right now. That's what we look like right now. That's what we look like right now. All right, so next up I'm gonna have a little Moscato. Oh no, don't scrap them because I want one. All right, a little bit of Moscato. I like wine. And then we're gonna have a little bit of my vanilla pinnacle vodka up there. Just a little splash because I'm not a huge vodka fan. In fact, I might put some. No, you know what? We're good. So, right? They'll be added to my Zazzle store soon, where you can get the rest of our brunch merch. I'm gonna use, yeah. Is that all I have left? Actually, that's all. I used the last of my vanilla extract. I need to get more because I have another cooking show tonight. Last of my vanilla extract. Great. Just some simple syrup because it's sugar. I like sugar. All right. Okay. And then finally, oof. Coffee mate. This is French vanilla. You can use half and half. You can use creamer. You can do whatever you want to just fill up the rest. Make it look all pretty. Yeah, there we go. And we're gonna have a little mix, just a little bit of mix to make sure it's not like just creamer at the bottom. Just chocolate ice cream on the top. Also really gets that Hershey syrup like kind of muddy and grave digging looking instead of just being like neatly poured. So it has an aesthetic purpose and a drink purpose. All right, now you can get, there we go. If you ever have anything stuck in your straw, just blow onto it. It'll come off, I promise. You're gonna go right there for right now. I've cleaned my countertops, don't worry. All right, so we're gonna add a little more Hershey syrup just as like a swirl. A swirl, yeah. I enjoy chocolate swirls. All right, so that's what we're looking like right now. I don't want to tip it over too much and spill it. But the final thing, we're gonna have just a little bit of a whipped cream, not too much whipped cream like I usually do. This is gonna look a little different. It's gonna look a little different for once. And then, by the way, this was kind of hard to get because this is my prism powder in onyx, and I'm gonna be using a lot of this tonight also for my other cooking show. But for some reason there was a packaging mishap at the factory, and they had the onyx labels on all of the greens. So I have a lot of green because I kept asking them, no, I need the black. Please send the black. Okay, we will. Sent another green. No, guys, no. Okay, so we're gonna lightly sprinkle you out, and you're gonna be so cute. We're gonna have a fun time. Great. Yeah. So it's not like covered. Not covered. Then I know this has like 80,000 things in it. I know. I understand. I understand the confusion. We're gonna try one more thing just for it. I have these tiny, tiny little molds in here. What's in here? We'll see, because I was trying to make skulls, but based on how that skull didn't have a face, let's see if this one does. He's got a face. He's got a face. That face. That face. All right. So you go on top of there like a little skull and crossbones. My little whipped cream. All right. So I'm gonna move you over here, and then I'm gonna try and tilt this down so you can kind of see a little bit more of what this guy looks like without spilling my entire drink out onto the planet. All right. So that's what we have work. Yes, I do build a lot of this on my Yorick. Yes, I build a lot of this onto a book on top of several things because I don't have an island and I'm very tall. So more chocolate. Yes. Always chocolate. Always chocolate. All right. So I'm gonna rest you on a little ice pack so you don't like melt. We don't want you to like melt. And for the time being, also, while I still have a little bit of time, I'm gonna make something to soak up a lot of this alcohol. I also just got this cute little guy. He's a little tiny waffle maker. I love him. So I'm gonna plug into you in. We're gonna talk some more. All right. You're heating up? You're heating up. Great. Yeah, as a lot of it's so pretty, right? Just like me. Yeah, so I've also never used this thing before. It just showed up yesterday. We'll see what happens. Again, everything I kind of do on this show, I've never done before. So we never know if it's actually gonna be a good idea. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's less of a good idea, but still like a fun time to do. But yeah. After I make something to soak up a little bit of the vodka and wine that I put inside of this drink, we're going to be talking to a Rogue Ensemble Theatre Company. They currently have a production of Titus Andronicus going on right now. Woo! The bloodiest of Shakespeare's tragedies, and probably comedies too. Just bloodiest of Shakespeare's shows. Don't know why I had to specify tragedies. But yeah, it's insane how much gore is in this show. For anyone who isn't familiar with it, basically everyone dies relatively violently for what was expected back then, at least. Come on, are you Keaton? All right. But in this production that they have done, first of all, it is all outside, socially distanced. And this production is in Grant's tomb. So Grant's tomb is like this mausoleum-looking building thing, and then they do their performance in front of it, and it looks super cool and goth. Goth, because there's the goths in the show. But yeah. There's a lot of doubling up of characters that were really interesting, things that I wouldn't have thought like worked, but it worked really well, and I'm going to talk all about that with them. You see more. All right. So I'm going to go in with my Pam. It says lightly spray with Pam. We've all used waffle makers before. We know lightly spray with Pam is a lie. Great. Okay. And I also just got this today, the Shake and Pour from Bisquick. You gonna pour? I'm gonna shake you some more. Great. So, all right. So like 4 minutes. Go down that way. That sizzle. All right. So it is like, yeah, all right. So at the 16-minute mark of me on this show, soak with Pam. Yes, that is, honestly, you can't ever have too little butter on what you're doing. Too little Pam, too little butter, too little margarine. Whatever you use to make something not stick to stuff and also juicy is, yeah, it's what you need. You need a lot of it. I'm the kind of person who puts butter and herbs and garlic on my steak before I cook it. So listen, there's also a whole thing of butter over there for when I'm eating this little waffle. But yeah, oh, it's smoking. Oh my God, someday we're going to have smell-o-vision. Someday we are going to have that life. But for right now, we don't. And I just have to be the only one who smells how good this is. But it smells so good. My God. Oh, are you actually done already? The top actually looks done. Or done-ish. I do respect the steak. I respect the steak. Respect it. I feel like, I don't know if you're gonna be raw on the inside though. It's always that gamble with a waffle. It's like, do you let it cook for too long? Do you wreck your hotel's breakfast buffet bar? What do you do? Oh, all right. So the light came back on that turned off that said that it was ready. So I'm gonna assume that means that we're good. All right. They also said you definitely need tongs to take these out, which I appreciate. Yes. Oh, she looks adorable. Aha. Aw. Look it. All right. Kind of a fancy, sassy bitch. I'm gonna put some more edible glitter on this one, actually, because we're We're going dark. No. All right, I'm going to put a lot of edible glitter on this one. All right. All right, so we're going to do that. And then I'm going to zhuzh you around a little bit so it's not just all in one spot, aka your teeth. All right, but this is the cutest thing basically that I've ever created on this show, and I barely did anything. Glitter, yeah. She sparkles in the sun. She looks like a little doubloon, actually. This would be really great for pirate parties. All right, so while I get everything that I own set up over there, we are going to watch a little bit of a photo slideshow of the recent Rogue Ensemble Theatre Company's Titus Andronicus. Enjoy. Yeah. Okay, I'm a little cockeyed. Let me fix this whole stream so I'm not tilted. Okay, that's a little better. All right, now let me do a little taste test of this drink to see how weird this interview is going to go. Oh, it's another trick. It's another trick. So I feel bad for Rogue Ensemble Theatre Company. Everybody welcome them to the stream. Yay! Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Well, how are you?
Yeah, how's everyone doing today? How's your Sunday going?
It's going
I made
well.
pancakes.
Ooh, I made waffles, so I had a Genny kind of morning.
Yes. All right, waffles are so scary.
I haven't eaten anything.
Neither have I.
Miles.
Shame on you two. You need to fatten yourselves
Pretty
up.
jealous.
So, first of all, everyone, if you could go around the stream and introduce yourself to the audience. We can go clockwise. Everything's weird. Clockwise. There we go. It's a party today. Yes, we have so many people. So everyone knows who you are, how you're involved with the project. Please, let's just go around clockwise and say who you are, how you're involved with the project.
All right. Hi, I'm Mary Claire, or MC, whichever you prefer, and I am playing Marcus Andronicus.
I'm Joey. I directed Titus Andronicus.
Hey, I'm Miles, and I play Saturninus and Aaron the Moor in Titus.
I'm Julie. I play Tamara in this production of Titus Andronicus, and I am the executive director of the Rogue Ensemble Theatre Company.
Wonderful. All right, so I saw, I believe, your opening weekend actually. It's a very spooky, fun time show. I was a huge fan of it. I love the opening that you guys created for the show, where you all cloud-like zombies carrying candles. I was like, they're coming, they're coming. I was there with my text message, they're coming from the other side of the party.
Yeah, that was all Joey.
Yeah, that was my little brainchild. I love spooky prologues, and I told the actors it was devised as a form of torture. I love as I love the idea of when audience members come in, just having the actors on stage doing stuff, so that they're kind of stuck there until the show starts. So it's a form of torture.
It was very Marat Sod. I mean, you know, how they always begin that show with everybody in the mental institution and the inmates are the actors all around.
That is great. So this is such a fun show. There's so much doubling in this show. Can you explain to me not only the process of creating who was going to be doubled with who, but the intricacies that you needed to use to either amplify that this is a different character or to blend certain characters into one?
Mm-hmm. Who wants to start on that one?
Joey, I think that's your department. Our artistic director, Christine, we thought was going to join us today, but I don't know where she is. She was the one who took on this momentous challenge of cutting the script, because we knew we're performing this in October at night. We don't want to be letting audiences sit there longer than 70 minutes or so, because they're already going to get frostbitten. But don't worry, we have hot hands for all of our guests if they request it. But also just Titus has so many characters, and so many characters. It's Lucius and Mucius and Mucus and oh my, Titus has a billion sons that were unnecessary to really get to the heart of the action of this story. So she realized, I mean, and I think Joey, you and Christine really talked about this more than I talked with it about her, of creating tracks of actors that, well, I'm going to turn over to you then, because I think that really then goes more into the concept that we were going for.
Yes. The concept was stolen from a Broadway play that opened last season called Gary, a sequel to Titus Andronicus.
I saw it.
Stolen. It's brilliant. Taylor Mack, brilliant playwright. But it was stolen mostly from the set of that show, because the set of that show was an enormous pile of gray bodies, and you can't tell who was who. So the concept that I developed out of that with Christine was, once the carnage is over in this play, it doesn't matter who is who. Nothing was achieved. They all died. No one actually got what they were looking for. The original concept was that everyone was going to play every character at some point, and we were going to swap constantly throughout the play, but that was a little too confusing. So over the course of the first week, we did a few readings of it where we pared it down. So we got a little bit more artful of creating tracks that were based on people's qualities. So we have one track that is Titus's children, and we have Marie Claire, we like to say, she's over there, is the nurturing track. So Marie Claire is the nurse, and Marcus, who is Titus's brother, the more nurturing characters. Miles, we took sort of as like Tamara's lover track. So Saturninus and Aaron, which is such a confusing doubling, and that's where magic came into the blocking. Because we had to justify, one, why are these people constantly switching souls? That's how we talked about it in rehearsals. It's sort of like the Scooby-Doo Monsters Island thing where souls are jumping from body to body. And yeah, so that was our way of sort of justifying that one, is that is thinking back to the prologue that they are all zombies, that they're all these actors that have risen from the dead, that they are offering their bodies to these characters' souls, and the souls sort of do with their bodies what they need to tell the story.
That is fantastic, and it did work really well. All the magical elements in it not only added to the spooky, but also added to being able to tell what was going on, and it was done very well, very effectively. I understood that, Rick.
Great movie, Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed.
It's nice to take a break from the Harry Potter references, quite frankly.
Yeah, we've been talking about it in terms of Horcruxes for weeks, and we needed to move on from that.
Yeah, unfortunately, until J.K. Rowling educates herself a little bit more. We just can't.
Yeah, we can't like Harry Potter right now.
I know.
Shame.
Speaking of the doubling of Aaron and Saturninus, that was very interesting and very well done, and also softened both characters a bit. So you were able to kind of see both sides of this, because usually Aaron is seen as like the biggest douche in the show. He has like several monologues of like, I just wish I had done more evil stuff. Cheers. But not only creating this relationship with Tamara, but also being like so in love with this child. It was very interesting. Can you walk me through the decisions to do all of that to make it a bit of a nicer character?
I'll turn it over to Miles for most of this. What I will say though is that Aaron as a villain. Aaron was probably the one character when we first read it that we said he's redeemable. None of the rest of them are, but we always believed Aaron was redeemable, and that's how it became his story in our minds. But I'm sure Miles has a lot more to say about that one.
Aaron, man. Well, I have to give a lot of credit to Joey, honestly, because I feel like at first I was playing the villain, and I did go into this angry, this very dark place. So Joey was like, he always watched me, was like, hey Miles, try to find different moments and tone it down, I guess, in a way to soften it up. So yeah, I found the moments, and then my favorite parts are the ones with Tamara, especially the one where we get down on the ground, like, because that part is it's hard for me because like I want to be down there, I want to be with her, but it's like, yo, we have this plan, we gotta enact this, we gotta do this right now. But no, like finding all of those different levels to play with Aaron has been so much fun.
That's really fantastic, and it was a really unique take. Not only all the doubling together obviously was a very unique take as well, but those two characters specifically being one, and then also being kind of one of the only redeemable or redeemed even characters in the show was a very interesting, different take. I had never seen it before, and it was really well done. So kudos to everyone for that. So let's also talk let's talk a little bit about that nurturing track too. I mean, all tracks in general are a bit hard to do when you're doubling all the time, but also you don't have a lot of costume changes. Can you explain a little bit to me about how you were able to play different characters who were the more nurturing type, but also still be clearly different characters?
Well, I'm still, this is such a huge play, and the characters, especially Marcus Andronicus, he is, it's a massive role, and he is a massive personality in that he was a general before, he's Titus's brother, and he's now a senator. So I feel like he knows both sides. He knows the side of war, and he knows also the side of being the politician and wanting to do good, not only for the people of Rome, but wanting to help his brother, because now he can offer his brother, to be the emperor of Rome. And he loves Titus's children in a way I feel that Titus could never love his children as a father would love a child. I think Titus sees his children as pawns in a chess. What can he get from this one? What can he get from that one? But Marcus really loves them. Like when Mutius dies, he really mourns this young boy. And it's like, I'm really feeling that more and more as each day passes, his mourning, when Titus kills his son. Titus doesn't feel it, but it's Marcus that feels the gravity of what he's done. And is really just, he's undone by that. He's like shaken, because that's not something that he ever expected, because he really has love for all of his children and love for the people of Rome. Whereas the nurse, has love for Aaron because, we're trying to portray her as a Black Roman, thanks to Joey. Joey and Julie have just been amazing, because this is my first Shakespearean play, and it's been Good Lord.
You've done well.
What a one to start with.
But I feel the more and more I get comfortable in the text, the more and more I can dig into my characters and how incredibly nurturing these two characters are. Because the nurse fundamentally, she comes with a huge task for Aaron, but fundamentally she is a nurturer. She's a carer. She's a healer. So it's these two people that are put into these very hard situations and how they deal with it.
Awesome.
It's
Fantastic.
fantastic.
Yeah. And of course, Tamara, please tell us all about your witchy little ways.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way. I don't know. We talked a lot about the history, or the history that influenced Titus Andronicus going into this production, and Joey was the one who elucidated us on the fact that the Goths were really just wanted a seat at the table. Thank you. I'm glad you got that right. I quote that movie as often as I possibly can, amongst many others. But anyways, so the Goths just wanted a seat at the table. And the Romans were dicks about it. So it only seems right to fight for your right to party and get representation. And I really enjoy this interpretation. It's a very fun one. Just adding those mystical, magical elements. As I told Joey after we established that there was going to be magic in this show, he's helping me live out one of my lifelong dreams of an actor, of having telepathic powers over people. So thank you, Joseph. It's, nobody in this show is redeemable. Everybody, things have happened to them, horrible things, but the choices of their actions the ends don't justify the means. And Tamara is absolutely no exception to that. And she definitely has certain moments throughout the course of this story where she has a choice where she ends up on top pretty quickly, but she's set on this path of revenge, and that can only come from a place of love, the love of a parent who's lost something. So she's a little unhinged, but she's really fun to play.
Yes, this is a very, very fun show. I know a lot of times when we talk about Shakespeare's tragedies and dramas, we think very dark. We think like, oh, the stage is littered with bodies and that's a bad thing. But it can get pretty fun to watch, honestly. And this is obviously one of the best examples of that, because it's such a fun show and you guys know that it's so dark and you guys are willing to play with how dark and crazy it gets. And I'm really appreciative of that. I do also love that one of the first lines in the introductory zombie scenes is, and I don't remember the full line, but it was said in the tone of "Romans, come out and play, yay!" And I kicked my cat Chris so hard, she almost fell over and thought something was wrong. And then I started bouncing up and down in my seat. I was like, "This is the show we're here to see." Yes. So, not only for social distancing purposes, for social distancing purposes, and also just to make the show make sense, there is a lot of magical elements in the show. Please walk me through not only like the decisions to what parts were magic and what parts were unfortunately very real, and how you decided each magical thing was going to work as a magic. Talk about magic.
Oh gosh, the magic was born out of practical magic. It was born out of the need to social distance during fight scenes. We couldn't have hand-to-hand combat or weaponry because it wouldn't be at distance, and also to justify the swapping of souls. And basically what we boiled it down to is that the rules of magic in this world is there's one scene where our Titus summons a demon into his body. And we are made to assume that Tamara has already summoned said demon. So the metaphor that I came up with to describe it was that it's like the Flying Dutchman in the Pirates of the Caribbean, that, you know, you're on the ship and you are a part of the ship. So Tamara and Titus in this show are the ships, and they sort of give their magic away to people. And those are represented in the form of a knife, a necklace that Saturninus wears that turns him into Aaron. At one point, Tamara gives shawls to her sons to turn them into the spirits of rape and murder. So it's something that is lent out from the people who have offered their souls to this demon of revenge.
I love a good revenge story. So tell me about some of the, because obviously every Shakespeare show has its difficulties in the first place. Plus, you're all social distanced, you're wearing masks, and there's also all of this doubling and stuff. What were some of the harder parts of creating the show, putting it all together?
Oh, we've lost Julie.
She didn't want to answer the question. She was out.
What was the could you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I was distracted by Julie.
So like, obviously, there's going to be a lot of difficult things, not only just doing Shakespeare in modern times, people understand it, but you guys were socially distanced and interpreting like magic into it, and there's all the doubling and all of that stuff. What were some of the more difficult things that you guys had to, the difficult hurdles you had to jump over to get to such a good show?
That's a great question. Do you guys have anything off the top of your heads? I need to think a second. What were hurdles you jumped?
Just being outside and with the weather getting cold, that was definitely, like, on one of the days of rehearsals, it was really bitter outside when it shouldn't have been. It didn't make sense.
Like no one was prepared for it.
Yes, no one was prepared. We're like, wait a minute, it's too soon to be this cold. So that's definitely one aspect of it that can be difficult. But then it keeps you on your feet and keeps you moving, which is good too.
I think for me, one of my biggest challenges was delineating Saturninus and Aaron. That was a big challenge for me, and I used to get really mad at myself a lot of the time in rehearsal, like very silently. But I mean, Joey would notice and he'd be like, "Stop." But yeah, I would get really mad because I'm like, man, I know these characters, I understand the status issues, like, so why am I not getting it? So I mean, I would take extra time before and after rehearsals and work with myself to figure it out, and just, yeah, I mean, that was like the biggest challenge for me, was that delineation.
Yes. Yeah. I agree with you on that, Miles. I was very hard on myself. Joey can attest to that. And
well, it's my job.
and it wasn't until like the Saturday night that I actually felt, especially Marcus, in my body. I actually felt the character, and that felt so good. It felt really good, and because it makes me, it allows me to create more of the character. So yeah.
Also, something else, the magic when switching between characters, getting that physicality is also a challenge, because I feel like Mr. Crocker every time I do it. So that has been a big thing, and hopefully, like, it looks not like Mr. Crocker.
It doesn't.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. So yeah, hi. Thank you.
He's back.
Sorry, internet connectivity issues.
It happened to me the last time I was interviewing this group, and all y'all had to interview yourselves for a bit.
This is like Jaws for the revenge.
Yeah. So what was a bit of a hurdle that you had to jump over to have this show be as good as it was? Obviously, we've talked about like the doubling and the magic and stuff, but is there anything that you particularly found a little more difficult to deal with, that you had to like really kind of power through, overcome?
I can answer while Julie thinks, because I realize I haven't. My continual hurdle has been clarity. Theoretical clarity, in that we did put a lot on this show with the doubling and the magic, and you're always afraid that a script will buckle under weight like that. So I had to do a lot of sitting back and thinking, okay, if I was not in this room and I had not been part of thinking this up, would this make any sense to me? And then practical clarity in terms of Grant's tomb is huge and it's dark at night. So you got to hear them and you got to see them. A funny story is, Genny, actually, is the night you saw the show was the first time they were performing in that spot. We used to perform in the center of the courtyard, and that afternoon we pivoted it onto an angle so that we would be under that lamp, because the night before we couldn't see them.
Oh no.
It's okay. Instead of Shakespeare in the park, we're Shakespeare in the dark.
There you go.
Shakespeare in the dark.
It works for Titus.
It does.
Yeah, I'd say from the perspective of the producer's standpoint, the hardest part, I think, is just adapting to the world that we're in right now, being roguish as a Rogue Ensemble Theatre Company, and yeah, just adapting. When a hurdle comes up, it's like, okay, we don't have seating. What do? Well, there's a lovely wall space surrounding Grant's tomb. So that's where they shall sit. It's a little cold outside. Let's order some hot hands, and then if people ask for them, we'll make sure they're nice and toasty. The bathroom's closed at 6:30. Well, we'll just make sure to tell everybody ahead of time. So scrappy, just being scrappy.
Yeah, good. And also, I like how clearly well thought out this was too, because as soon as we got there, we saw what the stage was, because it was a big old tarp on the ground, and we're like, well, that's where the blood is going to happen. That's the stage. Let's get over here. So
which was partially practical, because we didn't want to go to federal prison for getting blood on a monument.
No, that was bad. What great press, though.
I feel like that would be free publicity.
Mm-hmm.
True.
We'd make the Times for sure.
Yes.
So one thing that I always ask all of the guests on this show is, love scrappy little Shakespeare. Yes. One thing that I always ask my guests on the show is, and especially for this show and the Halloween season, we all have on stage horror stories. We do. They happen to all of us. It's a thing. One of my most terrifying ones, I was Miranda in The Tempest back in 2018. Our Ariel was on our stage tubes, and we had turned them sideways so that we could store things underneath them from the back and pull things out like magic. Great, fun. One of them, unbeknownst to us, was not very secure, and we didn't know that until the last night when our Ariel jumped up on top of it and then fell right through. So we all, and it was during like a big like dramatic moment, and then all of a sudden, and it's not like any sort of like thing happened other than this cube was very unsteady, because she is like, I lovingly call her about 4 feet tall. She's our little fairy sprite, and she just went right through this cube. And she was wearing a little tiny fairy outfit, so like we had to make sure that she was no splinters, no blood. Are you okay? Can you continue during the show? Are you like okay to continue during the show? So that's one of mine. You may feel free to share yours.
I don't know if I have like that level. I've been in shows where shit's gone down. Oh, here's a good one. There was a production of Love's Labor's Lost that I was in last fall, and we were at what the name of that theater escapes my mind right now, but it's the one downtown, one of the ones downtown. And the same night of a performance, there was a class going on downstairs, which was the access to the only bathroom in the theater that we had access to. So silly me with my teeny bladder, I was like, I can't take it anymore. This is my only opportunity. I'm just going to dive into this class and go use the bathroom for just a second. I won't interrupt anything. Of course, I interrupted a moment, and this teacher exploded on me, and then the rest of my castmates came to rescue me, which as I'm sneaking away to go to the bathroom, a giant shouting match erupts from the bowels of the theater that obviously the audience could absolutely hear as the scene is going on. The looks that these students and this teacher gave us as they were exiting out, oh my God, It was super embarrassing. But let it be known, don't have a class and a show going on at the same time in your theater. Fights will
Or
break.
management.
Or planning. Yeah.
Indeed.
Anyone else have any others?
God.
I think my most horrifying
Trying to
would
search
probably be during our run of As You Like It over the summer when I think I could single out one of the weddings that was the most disastrous thing to happen during that show. Since we were performing in parks, we were interrupted by, I think, 3 separate weddings that happened adjacent to our performance. And there was one where the groom and his friend started singing Time to Say Goodbye, the Andrea Bocelli, Sarah Brightman song, which is, first of all, inappropriate for a wedding. That's funeral song.
That's the best choice of song for a wedding.
Huh?
I shudder to think of your wedding, Julie. I really do.
My wedding was the best wedding. It was on a boat.
I hear about Julie's nautical wedding a lot. But that was probably my biggest Shakespearean horror story, was competing with an operatic wedding, not 6 feet from our show.
Oh my God.
I thought it added something to the performance.
Cool. So, for mine, I've been sitting over here trying to think. I think mine would be when I did Romeo and Juliet in college, and opening, we had this huge fight pool, and one of my castmates didn't come out for the fight. So, I mean, continuing with the fight, but I mean, I'm looking around during the fight like, okay, I'm supposed to be fighting someone here and they're not here. And so we go on like that for a while, and then my stage manager comes out. She's like, hold. One of our actors, she, like, her thumb had like locked up. She was zipping up her costume, and like it was really weird. Like, I don't even know what to call it, but it was just like she couldn't move her hand. So we had to hold for like 15 or so minutes while she like relaxed and put ice on it and like calmed down. And then we continued the show, but it was really crazy to go out there and fight nobody for 15 minutes. So yeah, that was horror.
I bet. Oh my.
This is my first Shakespeare play. And I must say I've had a few. Opening night, I completely forgot Marcus's entrance. I mean, this is something that I've run in my head like 50 million times. And I get in front of the audience, and it's like, nope, nothing's there.
We've all had that moment, though. Just sitting it there and going,
It was real.
and then that's coming out.
Words are going to come out at some point.
Once it happened to me because I was hopped up on Benadryl during a show.
Oh no.
Because I have a severe stage makeup allergy, and this was the show where I discovered it. So I stood up to speak at one point, and I had been napping in my chair on stage for about 25 minutes, and 2 got up to speak, and I think I burped instead of saying words, because just there was nothing behind my eyes.
Oh, the things we go through as performers.
Yes.
I'm upset I missed that.
I know that you guys are still in your run of Titus Andronicus, but what's next for Rogue Ensemble Theatre Company?
Oh, well, what's next? Well, because the weather is going to force us to be indoors. Again, Christine, our artistic director, is our mastermind, and she's got a nice lineup of things for us. So next, during the month of November, we're going to be doing a virtual series of our 15 by 15 one-act play festival, featuring 15 all new, all original plays written by people who've submitted to us. And it's going to be done over the course of 3 Fridays, 5 plays a night. So I'm not sure if we're still accepting submissions, but I know we're always accepting readers, directors. So anybody who's interested out there, come join us. After that, we have some ideas for a scene delivery service sort of thing, like an Uber Eats kind of deal. We want to get in conjunction with other theater companies on this, though. So again, anybody listening out there who has a theater company, come join us, come talk to us. We have job opportunities, possibly. And after that, we have a show that I have written. It's a modernization of the Eros and Psyche myth. So depending on how the world is in February, March, we'll see where that goes.
Well, I mean, it's going to be fun either way, whether or not it's virtual or socially distanced or in a real theater. Who hasn't been hopped up on stage at least once?
Every time.
There was one show that I did also in 2018 where the character chugged an entire bottle of wine within a 2-minute song while somebody else was singing. And we never were ever bothered to use fake wine. We just always would get wine from the corner deli every time. So that was a time for me.
Oh.
It adds something to the performance.
It did. It really did. We also had this rotisserie chicken that was just supposed to be a prop, but on the final night, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna start eating the chicken, and it had been left out for 3 days. So that was the one we taped, and that was great.
So fun.
So fun.
But eating on stage is the best.
Right. Is there anything else that you want the audience watching at home to know about your current production of Titus Andronicus?
Come see the show. That's really it. Come to our website, rogueensemble.com. There you can get tickets. You can find out information. Donations accepted through Eventbrite to get your tickets, as well as on our Indiegogo page. Links are listed below. Like one of the Disney sing-alongs.
Yes.
We're strong with the references today.
Oh God, I love it. I love it so much. Well, thank you all so much for being on the show. I really, really love having you guys on. Also, I will be sending a ton of actors your way for the Candygram actor service or whatever's going to be happening here.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
We'll be happy to collect them.
Yeah. So yay, awesome. All right. People being taken down. My entire screen has frozen. Oh, it's back now. Yesterday was very scary because I was doing a short cocktail segment. I had a 5-minute set on a show to advertise this show, and my entire screen froze, so I couldn't see if I was on camera. I couldn't see what was happening. I could not see any of the comments that were happening. I could not see anything, and that happened as everyone was leaving the stream. I was like, are people leaving? What's happening? What am I doing? What am I doing here? I'm also going to raise this a little bit because I'm standing and no. All right. I'm being very vain for my ending monologue, but again, thank you guys so much at Rogue Ensemble Theatre Company. Titus Andronicus is such a good show of theirs. They are doing such a phenomenal job. Really, please, 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 if you are in the New York City area, go see it. It's so fun, and it's also really safely done too. So it's proof that it can happen. Also next week we have Food of Love going to be joining us. They are doing their 12th night. Welcome to our table. For everyone who's heard of them before or who hasn't heard of them before, they did Midsummer, A Banquet. They did Shake and Bake Love, Labor's Lost, and now maybe a virtual show for us that is also going to be helping benefit Food Bank of New York City. Whew, I need to breathe a little bit because this is starting to hit me a little bit. Also, tonight, I have another cooking show, as I've talked about, Cookbook of the Dead, aka the Necronomicon. We are going to be showing you all kinds of fun at-home treats and stuff. I think we have a link to scroll for that. We have all kinds of fun at-home treats for if you haven't had an at-home Halloween in a while, and you're a little nervous because you used to going out, hanging out with friends, and now you're stuck with the people inside of your home. We have all kinds of fun things. We also have 6 guests on the show, so it's not just going to be me. A bunch of different people are going to be showing you how to cook all kinds of super fun stuff. We have like stuffed Peppo lanterns. We have deviled hot dogs. We have eyeball deviled eggs. We're gonna have a lot of really fun stuff. We have how to use an entire pumpkin. That is, honestly, that is kind of just how I feel like I sound like at all times. But anyway, to close us out now for today, speaking of a little revenge plot, let's get a little monologue going while the credits roll. Hello. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready, because I can't see anything again. Amazing, great. I don't know what keeps happening with my screen, but it's terrifying every time it does. All right. I am revenge, sent from the infernal kingdom to ease the gnawing vulture of thy mind, by working wreakful vengeance on thy foes. Come down and welcome me to this world of light. Confer with me of murder and death. There is no hollow cave or lurking place, no vast obscurity or misty veil where bloody murder or detested rape can couch for fear. But I will find them out, and in their ears tell them my dreadful name, Revenge, which makes the foul offender quake.